everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Because We Can Readathon Creative Challenge number 6. So for those of you that aren't sure what I'm talking about, this week is Because We Can Readathon, and each day there is a creative challenge that you can do, make some kind of creative challenge, whether it be a video, Instagram, whatever it might be, TikTok, etc., and complete that challenge for that day's challenge. So today's challenge is inspired by The Witcher. In The Witcher, the main character Geralt is a witcher, and he basically gets work as sort of a monster hunter. He is hired by various different people to kill various monsters or sort of various problems. So for this challenge, we have to give Geralt a job, hire Geralt to do something. So we could hire him to do something that would fit his profile, fit his witcher status, vanquish a zombie, get rid of a vampire, or something like that. Or we could hire him to do something a lot more close to home, a lot more in line with our ordinary lives, or very mundane. We could even hire him to find a missing pen, for example. So what I've decided to do today is I am going to hire Geralt to take a class as a relief teacher instead of me. So for those of you that don't know, I'm currently working as a relief teacher in primary schools here in Australia. I'm going to pretend that I was asked to do a day of relief in a prep class, which is the youngest class in the school, except here in Tasmania, but most of Australia it's either prep or kindergarten or something like that. So 4, 5, maybe 6-year-olds, and I'm going to hire Geralt to take that class instead of me. Some of you might be thinking, that doesn't sound like too hard a task. Some of you might be thinking, dear God, no. I really don't think this is a job that would actually suit Geralt. There is no way in actual reality that I would ever put Geralt in charge of a class of 20 to 25 5-year-olds. He would not know what to do. He might have quite a few of them really intrigued, and on a one-on-one setting he might actually do okay with a 5-year-old, but as an entire cohort, a whole class of children, no. So Geralt's main way of dealing with the various things that he comes across is to ultimately kill them. For example, here we have an image of Geralt stabbing a very scary, very angry monster through the head. So I'm just imagining that Geralt is looking after this class of 20 to 25, let's say 23 5-year-olds, one or even potentially 2 or 3 at a time, will have a meltdown about something. So you can imagine, in a way, it would be very similar to having a monster screaming in your face, except that it's a little tiny, cute, until that moment, child screaming in your face. Now, of course, Geralt cannot do what he would apparently quite naturally do and just stab them through the mouth. He has got to figure out how to calm the child down, how to make the child happier, stop screaming, make sure they're actually okay, bring them back down to earth so that they can be okay, so they can be mentally and emotionally stable, but also so that you can get on and teach the rest of the class. Not sure what he'd do there. I haven't seen any examples in The Witcher of Geralt. I've seen him be calm, but not in the face of someone screaming at him. When there are a lot of different characters all talking to him at once or coming at him at once, he seems to basically ignore them. And that's another thing that you really can't do in a classroom full of children. You can't actually just ignore 20 kids all talking at the top of their lungs all at the same time. Now, you can get them to be quiet, and there are various different ways of getting them to be quiet. Yelling at them, although you might sort of yell in a like, hey guys, shh kind of way, but you can't get really angry at them because they don't really know what they're doing is wrong. And it's not necessarily even wrong, it's just that you want them to be listening to you at the time, you want them to be silent for whatever reason. So you need to be able to be calm, get their attention, get them to be quiet without upsetting them or without making the problem worse. I don't see Geralt doing that because I feel like his natural response would either just go off his nut, do something really violent and get their attention that way, or just to completely ignore them and not worry about it. You can't do any of those things because you are actually trying to teach the class. So you can't just ignore the noise, but you also can't just really yell at them. Having said that, however, there are some times when you do need to ignore the noise. So usually when you give children a task to do, unless you specify that it has to be absolutely silent, and as a relief teacher, I've never had that work ever. But anyway, unless you specify that it has to be silent, most of the time when they're doing the task, they're going to be chatting, they're going to be noisy. Personally, if it's chatting but they're on task and they're doing the jobs, then I don't mind if it's chatting as long as it doesn't get too noisy, partly because you don't want to disrupt all the other classes around you, partly because it's really hard for a lot of them to concentrate if it gets too noisy, they get off task, etc. Partly because I end up getting a headache if it's too noisy. So you do have to ignore some of the noise. So that would be fine for Geralt, except that I don't think that he would necessarily know how to distinguish between this is just a low level of noise I'm going to have to ignore, and hey, here's a child who actually needs a problem solved, here's someone who needs help, versus oh, this person is causing an issue, so I'm going to have to deal with that in a quiet, calm, gentle kind of way. So I'm not sure that he would necessarily know how to have multiple different things happening all at once and deal with all those multiple things in a calm, guiding, caring way. I think that he would ultimately probably just end up leaving, just end up walking out of the room, because he wouldn't be able to actually deal with all of the noise, all of the things happening all at once, all of the various different needs that of everyone all at once, because in the show he does tend to do kind of one at a time. So he might be like, yep, okay, you want me to do this, and you want me to do that, and you want me to do that, I'll do this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do that. Now in a classroom I do that, but it's not like, okay, I'll do this thing and it will take me 6 days, and then when I come back I'll do this other thing. It's more like, okay, I'm going to listen to you, and then I'm going to respond to you, and then I'm going to listen to you, and I'll respond to you. But maybe actually 3 of you don't understand, and this person is doing it wrong, and this person is off on a totally different tangent, and this person's not listening at all. So actually what I need to do now is get everyone back together, organize us all to have some time to just sit and listen again and go through again and re-explain. I also think that's another thing that Geralt wouldn't do very well, is to re-explain and re-examine and check what it was that he told them and whether or not they've understood, and check his own way of talking through it to make sure they understood. I think he would just get really frustrated and just be like, fine, don't listen to me, and again, leave the room. Which again, you cannot do. You have a duty of care. You've agreed to take on that duty of care. It's now your job. Those children's everything for that brief period of time is entirely your responsibility. You have to know where they are at all times. You have to know generally that they're healthy and okay. You have to know that they are, to a certain extent, listening and paying attention and being on task. And I don't know that Geralt would actually do all of that particularly well with 20 to 25 very small but amazingly loud nonetheless children. So that is my task for Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher, which I don't know that he'd be able to achieve, but I should give him some credit. He does get rid of some pretty damn scary monsters, so who knows, maybe he would be up to the challenge. What do you guys think? Do you think he would complete this challenge with aplomb, or do you think he'd completely fail miserably? Let me know in the comments below what you think of my suggestion, my job for Geralt, whether you think he'd be able to do it or not, what you might have done yourself if you were giving him a challenge. If you've done this challenge as a video or a TikTok or a blog post or Instagram, whatever it might be, please comment that below so that I can see that as well. If you would like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then please leave me a wolf emoji, because that's kind of the logo for The Witcher. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.